All right, hello everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Cast a Dice, a Warhammer podcast. We got a lot to talk about this week. Chaos had a big release come down the pipes. Abaddon and friends have joined the fray on Vigilus. The new Codex has dropped, new units have dropped, the Vigilus campaign book has dropped. So, yeah, it's a good time to be a Chaos player. Wayne, I know you play Chaos, and you've been buying up the new stuff. Tell me a little bit about what you've been buying.
Oh boy, where to begin? All right, so I bought yesterday. I went and got Vigilus Ablaze, Abaddon, who is amazing by the way, a box of Chaos Space Marines, the Chaos dice that I plan to use for command points because, like most of their dice, they're not worth for the real game, and the updated data cards.
Excellent. Yeah, actually just bought the dice and the data cards myself. The dice are awesome looking, so I'm really happy about those. The data cards I haven't cracked open yet because I haven't played yet, but I have them ready to go. I bought 2 boxes of Chaos Space Marines, and they're going to be built today, actually. As soon as we're done here, I'm going to build them up today and start painting them because I finally locked down a paint scheme for my Chaos. So, happy about that. It's kind of like a take on the Brazen Beasts paint scheme, but it's going to be a little more brassy, a little brighter, and I'm going to have one black shoulder pad and one red shoulder pad, so it's going to be kind of custom, and no red helmet. It's going to be just brass helmet, brass armor. It looks really cool. I have a whole bunch of test models sitting on my desk. It's kind of funny, actually. A bunch of Alpha Legion looking ones, a bunch of these brass guys. The Alpha Legion ones actually look even better today. now that I'm looking at them, now that like everything's dry on them, they actually look really good. So that I probably shouldn't have looked at them because it's going to make me second guess my decision. But yeah, so that's where I'm at with all of that. I haven't been able to really batch paint anything yet because, like I said, I've been choosing a paint scheme to go with. So I haven't really gotten a whole lot of hobbying in. I did, however, buy the new Codex as well, Codex 2.0. To those of you out there who have an iPad or were buying this with Apple at all, whether it be through an iPod or iPad or whatever, the update as of right now, 3/31/2019, it is currently 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. There is no update for the new Codex yet. If you pre-ordered it, you will open up the old Codex, which was very disturbing to me that I pre-ordered the book. It locked me out of it for a week when I pre-ordered it, and then when the pre-order button went away and I could open it up, it was the old Codex still. So, to any of you out there hoping to buy the new book, you're going to have to wait a little bit longer, at least for Apple people, for the update to drop in and you get the new book. EPUB version is good to go. The EPUB is updated and ready to go. And of course, the print version's already out. So if you're not an Apple person, go out, get your EPUB, get your print version. The Codex is ready to go. If you are an Apple person, you're likely just as salty as I am, and I'm sorry. Besides that, though, there's plenty of other things going on in the world of Chaos to keep me from dwelling on the Codex. We have a slew of new units that have come down the pipes. I know a few of us have been very excited about them. Draco, I know you're excited for the Lord Discordant. Wayne, you're probably just as excited about everything as I am. Dennis, you don't even play Chaos, so this is probably the least relevant to you, but that's okay. It's okay.
I play Rat Chaos.
That's true. You do play Rat Chaos in Age of Sigmar. I mean, you play like Chaos's, step cousin in a different game system, but it's close enough. We'll adopt you.
Skaven are the immigrants that came over, and then James Workshop changed their last name to Chaos, and they just went with it.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, yeah, that's pretty much the perfect way to put it. Skaven just they were not born in Chaos; they merely adopted it. So it's interesting. So yeah, we're all some sort of Chaos players here, so we all can feel somewhat excited about these releases. I know the one that I'm most excited for is me personally is Havoc. So I don't know, Wayne, what are you looking forward to the most as far as the releases are?
honestly all of them.
Yeah, want them all. What's
Except the Master of Executions. That one looks like garbage to me, and I probably will not get him.
Oh my god, I'll be totally honest with you. I completely forgot he existed until you just mentioned him.
He would be cool, but he has no invulnerable save. And he's a melee guy.
Yeah, I legit keep forgetting that he exists. And then somebody will remind me about him, and then I'll be like, oh yeah, that guy's a thing. Oh boy. Yeah.
He's got a cool axe.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it looks like he stole it from Age of Sigmar and then slapped a power generator on the back of it.
It does.
But, I mean, yeah. So besides him, I'm excited about everything else. Like I said, Havocs are probably the thing I'm most excited for. Even though my first iteration of my new list doesn't even have Havocs in it. But I really like them as a unit. So I'm definitely going to use them eventually. It's just a matter of making a list that I can fit them into. Draco, I know you've been expressing quite a bit of interest in the Lord Discordant.
What? Sorry, that didn't quite reach me.
Even though you play Thousand Sons, I know you're pretty excited about the Lord Discordant.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna take most of my demon engines, which I'm gonna still get, and then maybe run them as generic Chaos Marines. Otherwise, my friend's probably gonna let me take him as a Thousand Sun unit.
Oh man,
Yeah.
that's gonna
I
be.
mean, I get everything else. Why not him?
Your friend's gonna let you do that right up until the point where you can weaver him from like across the board and give him a +3 invuln save.
My rubrics and scarabs run around with a 3+ invul. They already know my bullshit.
Yeah, but those are scarabs and rubrics. This is the Lord Discordant we're talking about.
It's gonna be fine.
It'll
They're
be-
gonna be salty, and it's gonna be fine.
It'll be fine. There's nothing unforeseen that could possibly happen from taking a unit that isn't in a codex and jamming it into the codex.
Hey, at least I don't give him 2 mastery levels of psychic.
You
Yet.
should. You should.
I should totally, yeah.
That way he can warp time and diabolical strength himself.
Oh,
Or
yeah.
or
Please
cursed or cursed earth himself. Give him malefic powers too. That way he can use cursed earth on himself and he can run behind a bunch of Mauler fiends.
do. Oh, that's a good idea. I'm gonna ask my friend if he'll let me do that.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna mention it's broken.
yeah.
at all.
Don't mention your plan for it. Just ask if you could do it, and then what I want you to do is tell me exactly how that game goes.
I get back to that, yeah.
Because I think it'll be hilarious.
It totally will.
But yeah, so a lot of stuff has changed with the new codex coming out. Even though I don't have the new codex, I know pretty much all the changes. They've been making their rounds on the internet. Abaddon was a big winner in this transition to the new codex. He has gone up a strength. He was always 5 toughness, so that stayed the same, and he gained a wound on his stat line. He's now 8 wounds instead of 7. So straight buffs across his stat line for those 3 areas. Talon of Horus is now -4 AP, and Draknyen is now flat 3 damage, so that's pretty huge. The biggest thing about that is that Abaddon stayed the same points, so you're paying the same thing for him now as you were before, and people were already taking him before, so he just got that much better to have around, so that's pretty big. Not much to really say on him because he's just better in every way. None of his auras have changed. Everything else seems pretty much the same. He's just a beast. He's an absolute monster now. His model, like Wayne said, is really nice. It's about Gilliman size, so there's a lot to be said about that. I know Chaos players are going to have quite a good time running him. I can't wait to run him myself when I eventually get around to making my Black Legion warband. My plan is to run him along with some Terminators in that Bringers of Despair specialist detachment and add him on to my custom Legion when I feel like running some Black Legion. So that's Abaddon. I think another big winner here is definitely Havocs. I know I mentioned Havocs being my most look forward to unit. The biggest thing that's changed for them is they now have the old Relentless rule. They can now move and fire heavy weapons at no penalty, which is awesome. Absolutely awesome. I don't know how many times I was screwed because I had to move my Havocs and then they had a fire at a worse ballistic skill. So it's pretty cool that they can do that now, and they gained a toughness. They're now toughness 5. Their models look phenomenal. They have these cool stabilizer talons that kind of dig into the ground, which is where their relentless rule comes from. So definitely props there. Wayne, I don't think they changed in points, did they? They're 14 points a model.
They were 13 and they went up to 14.
Oh, did they? So just for 1 point, you gained relentless and a toughness. I'd say that's pretty. I'd say that's pretty good.
I would agree.
Yeah, that's really good. Arguably, the other biggest thing to change with them is the addition of a new weapon, which would be the Reaper Chain Cannon, is what it's called, I believe. Yeah.
Yep.
Reaper Chain Cannon. So this weapon is pretty spicy. It is heavy 8, strength 5, AP -1, 1 damage. I don't know exactly why they decided to invalidate the heavy bolter, but they did it. I don't know. I see no reason to take this over a heavy bolter over this. I don't know. What do you think, Wayne?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, it is double the cost, but the 8 shots alone...
It's double the cost, but over double the shots.
Yeah.
So it's...
Also, it looks epic. Like,
Oh, yeah.
holy.
Yeah, it's a giant chain gun. I mean, you can't really go wrong with that.
Who wouldn't want that?
But you know why? You know why you have to take heavy bolters still? Because they only give you 1 Reaper Chain Cannon in the kit.
That's going to stop absolutely no one.
You have to take the 1 chain cannon and then 2 more heavy bolters and then 1 of something else, because hey, I love rolling 5 different times for the same unit when I want to play a game.
Now, see, what you do is you buy 2 boxes and then you have 1 unit with 2 chain guns and 2 heavy bolters.
Yeah, I guess that could work. And then you have 4 las cannons now, so you could just make another las cannon unit.
Right.
Yeah, that could work. I mean, the heavy bolter does have a longer range than the chain cannon, so you could kind of still shoot while you get them into position, I guess, but I don't know. I still think people are just going to hunt around for different ways to get 4 chain cannons on a unit. It just seems like the smart thing to do. So
I know I am.
Yeah, me too. So that's Havoc's. The other big winner coming into the new codex, I would say, is probably the Dark Apostle. A lot's changed with him. He's gone up in points. He's now 100 points base, and I believe it's 10 points per guy that comes along with him.
5 points per.
5 points per. How many guys can he take with him? 2?
It doesn't say. It just says only 1 unit of Dark Disciples can be included in your army. For each Dark Apostle, let me check the points. I don't think there was that much of a limit. It's only 1 per unit, so you can buy... No, hold on. No, it is 2. You're right. It is 2. 2
Okay.
per unit.
So it's 2 per unit, so you're spending 10 points. So it's 110 points for a fully decked out Dark Apostle. He lost his static buff of reroll morale, which, let's be honest, was rarely ever relevant. He still has it, but it's now a prayer that you have to choose from an entire table of prayers. So much like the Psychic Discipline or the prayers over in Age of Sigmar that Khorne gets, the Dark Apostle can now choose a prayer to pray at the beginning of the battle round, which is big. Pray at the beginning of the battle round, which will affect the unit for the rest of the turn. This is big because even if you don't get first turn, you can still get that prayer off. And one of the prayers happens to be -1 to hit against ranged weapons. So you've got a screening unit up front that you know is going to get lit up turn 1. You can put -1 to hit on it, even though you didn't get first turn. That's pretty big. I know that there's a couple self buffs for the 4 gods. What were those again, Wayne?
It is... The Khorne one is +2 strength. The Tzeentch one, he heals D3. The Nurgle one, he adds +2 toughness. And the Slanesh one, he can advance and charge. And then there's 6 on the chart. there's the old one he used to have, which is reroll all hits in the fight phase, became a prayer, and then he still has Demagogue, which is the models can use his leadership.
Okay.
And he actually got his weapon kind of switched. He used to have a power maul. Now he's back to having the Accursed Crozius, which is +1 strength instead of 2, and still AP neg 1, but it's 2 damage instead of 1 damage. So strength and damage swapped.
Okay. So the weapon sort of changed, but all in all, the biggest changes to him were probably the points cost and the addition of prayers.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got the -1 to hit one's going to be huge. Being able to use that turn 1 on some big unit's going to be pretty game changing, so that's definitely a plus for him. The Lord Discordant is going on pre-order next week, Saturday, I believe, so he'll be coming out soon. He's about 160 with an autocannon, 180 with a Bale Flamer, I think is what his points are looking at right now.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's precisely it.
Yeah, so he's looking pretty good. We already know a lot about him. He has an aura where he gives +1 to hit to all demon engines around him. He is... What's the stat line on him now?
He has a degenerating move from 12 to 9 to 6.
Yep.
2+ and 2+ for weapon skill and ballistic skill.
Yep.
Strength 4, which seems weird at first, but his weapons all scale off of that, so that's kind of nifty.
Yeah.
Toughness 6, which I think could be one higher, but it's fine. 12 wounds, 4 attacks, 9 leadership, and a 2+ save.
Now that's where I see a problem with him. I don't like that he's 12 wounds. Making him targetable with only toughness 6 and just a 5-up invuln is going to really hurt him. I think he's good if you present enough threats around him. However, he is a linchpin unit. He is a hero that buffs other really good units. If you take him out, you're also hurting all the units around him. So I don't really know what you could put around him that'll keep people from wanting to just shoot him off the board turn 1. And he's a bigger unit too, so it's not like he can hide behind line of sight that well. It'll be interesting to see how much play he actually ends up seeing because of that.
Well, for starters, you could put that -1 to hit prayer on him.
You could if the Dark Apostle happens to be around him.
Yeah, that's one thing. And he has a lot of options to get buffed from demons, from Chaos Marines. So he has the new Soulforge pack detachment, which really works well with him and any Demon Forged.
Yeah.
So, yes, 12 wounds is to his detriment, but if he had been 9 wounds, he would have been an auto-include in all lists, and I think that would have been broken. So I am fine with that to get his linchpin on the board at 12 wounds at that price, with the options to really get your list going in a lot of different ways, because you can play him with a lot of different engine builds, and really it changes how you use him.
Yeah. I mean,
and I think that's a fair trade.
Yes and no, in my opinion. Like I said before, he does all these great things, and I think he's an awesome unit, and he can do a lot of cool stuff. But it doesn't really... Like, that first turn is so huge in this game, especially this edition. To kind of build an army around him, or to kind of put him in a position where he's buffing a bunch of stuff, just puts such a huge target on him. I don't really see him surviving out of the first turn. I mean, you've got knights that can go down on first turn.
Well...
he's just... I don't know. I just don't see 12 wounds at toughness 6 being that hard to chew through.
Alternative take, you can play him completely without demon engines and just use him as a one-shot missile in the enemy ranks. If you have nothing to buff, he is not that big of a target, and he on his own can be a massive beatstick still. That's also an option.
He can, but so can Harkin, and people don't play him either.
Well, Harkin is shit.
He's not that bad. He's really not. If you play him completely by himself and ignore the fact that he buffs raptors, he's kind of a neat little heat-seeking missile for, like, backline heroes. I don't know. He got a lot better with Vigilus. I mean, we'll talk about that in a little bit when we go over the Vigilus book and the specialist attachments, but there's some game to him now if you take him a certain way. So I don't know. That's my take on the Lord Discordant. I don't know, Wayne. What do you think about him?
Now, I actually think sort of the opposite in that you can't treat him as a linchpin because he has the 12 wounds. My big thing ever since it was leaked that he had 12 wounds has been you need to present multiple threats. If they're going to kill your Lord Discordant to debuff your, let's say a couple of Mauler Fiends with him, or Venom Crawlers, but you hate those.
Yeah, Venom Crawlers suck.
Right. But if they're going to focus on the Lord Discordant, you have to present them a choice of, okay, you can kill my Lord Discordant and weaken these 3 or 4 demon engines, but that means you're not attacking my Havocs with chain cannons, you're not attacking my Terminators deep striking in, you're not attacking my Raptor pack, whatever else you're taking. You have to provide various threats to them and make them pick.
Well, here's my counterpoint at what you just said. Terminators can't come in until turn 2, so they're irrelevant. We can already put them off to the side. What you would be shooting at the Lord Discordant isn't the same as what you'd be shooting at the Havocs. So there's that too. I feel like your anti-tank is on the board to be anti-tank, and what better to shoot it at than the tank that buffs other tanks? Everything else can handle everything else. Like he doesn't draw fire away from things that how do I want to say this? He isn't drawing fire away from anything that isn't already being fired at by something else anyway. Like all these other things are already shooting at those other things. The fire that's coming at him is the fire that was going to be coming at him anyway. And if he didn't exist, it was the fire that was going to be going at your Mauler Fiends or your Kaitan Demon Engine or whatever. It was going to be going that direction anyway. So if you've got a unit of las cannons shooting into a Mauler Fiend, or you see that there's a Lord Discordant there buffing 3 other Mauler Fiends, you're just going to, instead of shooting at the Mauler Fiend, you're now going to shoot at the Lord Discordant. So I feel like because he is who he is and that stat line that he has, he's just too easy to target. Like there's nothing you can put on the board that's going to make me think, oh, I better target this with my las cannons instead of this guy. It just, I don't know. I just don't see what you could put on the board that's really going to protect him.
I got something.
What?
2 Lord Discordants.
What's better to protect a Lord Discordant than another Lord Discordant?
Seriously, at 160 points with the autocannons, he is pretty cheap for what he does.
You know what, though? Honest to God, I'm joking. Like, I was joking around when I said that, but you might actually be right. Redundancy probably is the best way to run him, to protect him. If you're redundant, at least you know 1 might survive. They could kill 1, they might not kill 2, and you might get to use them. So, yeah, honestly, you might be right. Running at least 2 might be the way to go. Apart from that, I don't really see what kind of threats you can throw down that is going to distract your enemy's anti-tank enough to not want to shoot at the linchpin. So that's my take on the Discordant. I don't know, Dennis, how do you feel about him as a loyalist player or as a Skaven player? Or a Necron player?
The Skaven answer to a linchpin would be to slap Warp Lightning Vortex on it. I don't really have that option, so my view as a Necron player is that anything that is higher than toughness 6 is super scary. What's his toughness?
6.
Oh, he's not very scary then. That's about the sweet spot.
6 is the tipping point.
I mean, if you take the Lord Discordant, right, and then you slap down -1 to hit on him, the enemy's going to want to shoot it, and he is going to die, but he's going to use more shots than he would have if he shot something else.
Yeah.
That's really what you're going to be wanting to do. You want to make him, you're going to make shooting the Lord Discordant as annoying as possible.
You're going to kill him.
You're behind a building, so not everything can see it. You're going to,
Yeah. You're going to kill him, but you're going to be really annoyed doing it.
Another thing.
I mean, that's the way Necron vehicles work, and a lot of people hate those. So.
Yeah. What were you saying, Draco?
I was just thinking that if you get the first turn with him, and you have that list built around him, he is gonna be hell on earth for everyone facing him. because he just makes those already pretty good demon engines just shoot like fucking missiles at the enemy.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I guess if you don't get the first turn and he's on the board, you kind of risking him, and you're probably gonna lose one of him at least. But the trade-off is that you have basically, well, not an instant win condition, but a very, very good chance at just crushing your opponent into the dirt with him.
I mean, I'm all about crushing people, so that works for me.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not really that upset about it. Yeah, I guess we'll see. We'll see what kind of unit he ends up being when I have a chance to finally play and test him out. I am going to be buying him because I do think there's some merit to him. I don't know exactly what kind of application he's going to need to be successful, but that's something I can kind of work out as I play with him, because I think that's going to be the best way to kind of go about it in the meantime, because yeah, it's definitely going to take some testing. I don't think it's kind of cut and dry, like, oh, you could just run them this way. There's just too much you got to think about when you run him because of how high profile he is. So we'll see how everything goes in regards to that.
Well,
yeah.
yeah. Well, I guess I can make the same point for him I made for the Obliterators in the last podcast we talked about Chaos, because he got that tactical flexibility. You can run him like a couple different ways.
Yeah.
And each are completely different.
Yeah.
So you can also have like this little mind game with your opponent. How is he going to run it? What is he going to throw in my face? What is he going to put next to him?
Yeah.
Or nothing at all. So, and I like that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think there's some merit to it. Like I said, I'm looking forward to testing him out. So when I finally get a chance to, I'll be sure to talk about it on here so everybody can know kind of what his deal is. I know I was talking a lot of crap on the Venom Crawler, and then I finally got to try him out, and then I felt my crap was deserved. So I do like to try things out, even if I think they're going to be bad. So we'll see. Hopefully I'm wrong.
Also, I noticed something. He is called Lord Discordant on Hellstalker. Maybe we get one dismounted? Would be kind of fun.
Yeah, a dismounted one would actually be freaking great, because you can guarantee that it's going to be under 9 wounds at that point. So
yeah,
it could be really good. But then at that point, it has trouble keeping up with the demon engines. I mean, it'd be really good for one to sit in the back.
For a Forge Fiend battery, yes.
Yeah, that would be really good. And then keep the more expensive one up front.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see a lot of merit in that.
Just noticed because his mount was specified. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Chaos Space Marines got new models, finally. It's a fantastic kit. Everything looks absolutely awesome. Much bigger, upscaled. The detail's phenomenal. Chaos Space Marines as a unit didn't change a whole lot. They're still 13 points a model. Still the same stat line. The only real change to them now is that they have access to the rotor chain cannon, the Reaper chain cannon. So, not much has changed there. Terminators, not much has changed with them either. I don't know. Wayne, did they go down in points at all?
Yeah, they actually did in the new one. They went down 2 points to 26 base now.
Okay, so they went down 2 points. Still the same stat line, though, but they have a base loadout of chain axes now, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The kit only comes with one.
Yeah, the kit only comes with one chain axe, but that's the default loadout, folks. So if you want the default loadout, you better scrounge up some chain axes because, yeah, for some reason the rules in the kit don't match up too well.
Just get the terrific Khorne Berserker kit.
Oh yeah, that kit's just fantastic. Speaking of Khorne Berserkers, leads me nicely into the next unit, the Lord Executioner, which is the unit that I keep forgetting exists because I don't see a point to him.
Obviously forgot him. He's Master of Executions, not Lord Executioner.
Yeah, obviously. Master of Executions.
I don't even know what he does.
He should have been Berserkers. That
He's a melee guy, and that's it.
that
And
was
he's not a good melee guy.
no. That was not the release we wanted, and it wasn't the one we deserved.
Hey, you know what? You could buy 10 of them, and then he's a unit of berserkers that all look really stupid.
Great. If I wanted 10 stupid looking berserkers, I would just buy the kit as it is right now.
Right.
So there's that. I don't know, Wayne. Do you happen to have his scroll handy? His
Yes,
data sheet.
I'm right by it.
Yeah. What does he do?
So, he is basically almost like a Chaos Lord without the buff. He has a big axe, which is Strength times 2, AP neg 3, damage D3. Each time you make a wound roll of 6 or more for this weapon, the target suffers 1 mortal wound in addition to any other damage.
Mm-hmm.
Once per fight phase, he can reroll 1 hit, wound, or damage roll for an attack made by this model that targets a character. He has an ability where, after the enemy has completed all of their charge moves, this model can perform a heroic intervention if it is within 3 inches of any enemy model or 6 inches of any enemy character. If this model is within 6 inches of any enemy character, it can move up to 6 inches when performing a heroic intervention instead of 3. So he gets a bonus to heroic intervention. Now, the problem is he has base stats like a lord. So he's weapon skill 2, strength 4, toughness 4, 4 wounds, 5 attacks, 3 up save. He has no invulnerable save whatsoever. No Sigil of Corruption. He's not demonic. So he's useless. He will just get killed.
Yeah. Wow. So he's essentially a bootleg lord with a power fist.
He's probably closer to an exalted champion. I'm checking the old codex to see what the exalted champion stat line is, because I don't think he has a save either.
Just a thought. If he gets within 6 of an enemy character in the enemy charge phase, he gets in there and can't be targeted. Because if you heroically intervene, you cannot be targeted by the chargers.
But why spend points on him? Like,
he's fairly cheap. I mean, he's basically an exalted champion with bonuses against enemy units. Yeah, against characters.
Yeah, the exalted champion does not have an invuln, so yeah, he's essentially an exalted champion.
He is
with 1 more attack.
He's only 70 points.
How many wounds is he?
4. He's basically an exalted champion with 1 extra attack and bonuses against characters.
Yeah.
But he's 70 points, so he's fairly cheap.
He is fairly cheap, but there's so many, like, in an army, especially like Chaos, where we have so many good HQs, I just can't see why you would need to take him. And for 70 points, you could take something else. Like,
the only thing I could potentially see him with, just thinking about it, is as sort of a if you move him up with a big squad or something and the enemy charges them and he's right over there, you put him in combat then, and he does have 5 attacks and he can cause mortal wounds.
Yeah. I mean, it's also pretty good if you couple him up with a Dark Apostle for +1 to wound in melee, then he's doing mortal wounds on 5s, so...
And if you use Veterans of the Long War, that's another + wound.
That's true. So he could be doing, on a 4-up, mortal wounds.
I guess, as he can... Most enemy heroes that get charged into combat by him will be combat monsters and likely be somewhat more expensive than him, so he at least punches above his weight.
Yeah, he does.
If he can get there, but with only 4 wounds, if he doesn't get the first strike, he's just dead. Like,
if you
with
bank on that intervention,
maybe
he should get the first strike, and if he doesn't kill him in the first round, he basically fails his job anyway and can die as he has a chaos failure.
Yeah, with no invuln, I just don't see him making it where he needs to go. It's...
Can't the priest give him an invul?
He can.
But then
Dark Apostle on that instead of a unit.
Yeah, the Dark Apostle has to pick his prayer. He doesn't get all of them. So now you're spending 100 points just to give the Executioner an invuln save, essentially. When really you could be giving a unit of 20 Chaos Marines -1 to hit or something.
Well, not only that, but at that point, you might as well give the Dark Apostle himself just Omen of Prophecy, and he gets 6 attacks, Strength 5, AP Neg 4, 2 damage each.
Yeah, at that point he just becomes better.
Chaos Space Marine HQ.
What was that?
What's the cheapest Chaos Space Marine HQ?
Warp.
It's
Might
got
actually be him now.
It's Warpsmith, I believe.
Oh, yeah.
How much is the Warpsmith?
I believe the Warpsmith is like 62.
Wow.
Yeah. After he's kitted up, he's 62 points.
Oh, speaking of Warpsmith, just a quick question. Sacrifice, the new Malefic spell,
Yeah.
doesn't specify you can't use it on the victim itself, right?
No.
Use it on him. You can do it on the Lord Discordant, and then he takes D3 wounds because he's a Warpsmith. He can heal himself for 3 wounds.
Yeah, and he heals 1 automatically, so he just heals flat 3.
I'll laugh though if you keep rolling 3 for your D3 and it just keeps breaking even every turn.
You just take 1 wound for sacrifice, though, don't you?
I don't.
It's
remember.
1 mortal wound.
Yeah.
It might be 1. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
might
it
be
is 1.
1.
Okay.
Yeah, it's 1, and then you heal D3. But if it's a demon engine, you heal flat 3. So yeah, you can use it on himself. Sacrifice 1.
Get 2, he heals 1 automatically, so he heals 3 per turn.
Yeah, that could work.
Yeah.
Just remembered. Sorry, we were at the Lord Executioner, Master of Executions.
He sucks.
Right, next one.
Yeah, he's not the best. I mean,
I do really think that might be a fringe case for him, is to just have him buy like a big combat squad or something as sort of an extra, okay, hey, you're going to charge this guy, you're going to charge my unit, and then my guy's going to move in and start attacking you. But overall, yeah, I don't see him.
Yeah. So we talked about Terminators. They went down 2 points. Other than that, they didn't really gain anything besides new models. And even the new models don't really look that different to the old ones. They're just bigger. So there's...
I guess they look better proportioned.
Yeah.
They are.
Yeah, they're a little
So
more...
there's something.
They're a little more upscaled. So we got that as far as Terminators are concerned. What else is coming out? We got the Havocs already that we talked about. The Lord Discord.
It's only,
The Stargate.
yeah,
the
the Noctilus
Stargate.
Crown.
That's right, the Stargate. This is one that I find kind of interesting, and I think this is a fortification that actually would see play if so many tournaments weren't held to a 3 detachment standard, because one of its auras is it gives a 5-up invuln save to everything around it, and that invuln save grows every turn. That's kind of good for a backline full of Havocs. I don't know. Like, I feel like that's pretty good.
It also makes enemy Psykers within 24 peril on every doubles. So
Yeah, so that's pretty good. I mean...
And Chaos Psykers are not affected, so...
Yeah, it's only
quite nice.
It's only 100 points too, so it's not like it really. It's not that expensive. I think this is a fortification that can actually see play if you were to lift detachment restrictions on competitive play. I think it'd be a pretty competitive choice. Unfortunately, in most competitive scenes, you got those 3 detachments. One of them now is already taken up by a fortification, so now you have to fit 1,900 points into 2 detachments, which not a lot of people really want to do.
Unfortunately, most matched play in general, tournament or otherwise, thinks that's a matched play rule, and it's in effect. I've never seen a game that didn't enforce it, even though it's not a default matched play rule.
Yeah.
Honestly, I usually just use 1 detachment anyways, with exception of my turrets where I use my fortification.
Scrub.
It would be...
You love my Carnifex list, just remember.
It would be a lot better if there were other detachments that could fit a fortification into it. Like, I feel like the battalion detachment should have a slot for everything.
Yeah, I can see that.
Just kind of fit in a fortification if you wanted to run it. I don't know. I think that'd be pretty cool.
That'd be pretty nice, yeah.
Besides that, that's pretty much it for Black Legion as far as the new models are concerned for Chaos. I can't think of any other ones. That was pretty much it, right, guys?
Terminators, Discordants.
That's all the new stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, the only rumor engine still hanging in the wind is that sorcerer backpack.
Which I'm not even certain if that's a sorcerer anymore, because if it was, I would have guessed it would have been released.
Yeah, it would have been out by now, but it looks exactly like it. I mean, we've all seen the
does.
pictures. I mean, I can't imagine what it could possibly be if not a Chaos Sorcerer. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that backpack is literally the second edition sorcerer backpack. It looks exactly like it, and I've shown pictures to people to compare the two of them, so I
Yeah.
don't know what else it could be.
So any of you out there curious as to what we're talking about, look up the second edition Chaos Sorcerer model, and you'll look at the backpack, and you'll see that the kind of the vents in the backpack are shaped like those dragon heads, and it looks exactly like that rumor engine. So it's going to be interesting to see what that actually is. And I don't know. I'm at a loss for what it could possibly be. Otherwise, I can't really think of anything. But yeah, besides that, that's everything for Black Legion. We got pretty huge news at Adepticon, however, to kind of keep the Chaos Gravy Train going. What was that?
I guess we could also talk about the new special detachments.
Yeah, we're going to talk about the specialist attachments in a second, after the new models, because Slaanesh just got a new line too. So anybody looking to use Slaanesh in their Chaos Space Marine army, you're getting a new Keeper of Secrets, a new Demon Prince / Herald looking thing, and a couple other goodies. Not a whole lot is known about them yet, what they're called or whatnot, but stats on them are still unknown, so that's something to look forward to in the future. So keep an eye out for the Slaanesh releases in the future. For all you Emperor's Children players out there who might be interested in using Slaanesh demons, go look at the Warhammer community site to get brushed up on what they look like and what's coming out, because you're in for a pretty big release. It's Slaanesh's time now after this, so that'll be interesting. The books that have come out, we've had 2.0, which is out now, so Chaos 2.0 is out, and Vigilus Ablaze, which is the campaign book for this moment, I guess, this campaign, the Vigilus campaign. A lot is in it. It's pretty much all Chaos, unlike Vigilus 1, where it was kind of split, some Xeno, some Imperium, and whatnot. This is pretty much all Chaos. I don't know, Wayne, you bought the new Vigilus book, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, was there any non-Chaos in there?
Nope.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of story stuff, and some of the missions aren't necessarily Chaos, but all of the actual rules, it is essentially a little mini Chaos Codex.
Yeah, so Chaos is featured front and center in this book. That's all you're getting. You got various specialist attachments, some new rules for Black Legion, and some new rules for the Renegade chapters, which are pretty exciting. We're going to go over a couple of those now. One of the biggest things that Vigilus changed, and it carried over to the other codex, is that cultists no longer get Legion traits. There's now a rule called Mere Mortals, which cultists do not get Legion traits, which I think is a great change. Cultists were a little too good for what they were, and it kind of gives you more of a reason to run Chaos Marines, so that's pretty big, and I think it's worth noting. Black Legion got a whole slew of new rules. Wayne, did the trait change at all? I think it's still the same, right? Run and...
It's the same.
Yeah, so the trait is still the same. You can run and fire rapid fire weapons, and they become assault whatever. So a rapid fire 1 weapon will become assault 1 if you run, and you get +1 leadership. So solid trait, makes you a little faster and able to kind of shoot while you run. The big thing that Black Legion got was it got new stratagems and new relics. Wade, what are the relics for Black Legion?
The relics are, and some of these have really weird names, but
do your best.
Gorus Vex Teeth, which is an upgraded chainsword that is strength user, AP -3, 2 damage. Each time the bearer fights with this weapon, it can make, or each time the bearer fights, it can make 2 additional attacks with this weapon. Each time you roll a wound roll of 6 or more for an attack made with this weapon, the target of the attack suffers 1 mortal wound in addition to the normal damage. So give a guy a chainsword, a lord or something, upgrade it, he gets a bunch more attacks, and they're nasty.
Yeah, see, that's a really good relic, because the Chainsword keeps your Lord cheap, and if you need a cheap Lord and you want to throw a relic on him that's going to make him beast in combat, that's a pretty good one, because those stats are pretty good for paying like 0 points for the weapon.
Yep.
Yeah.
There is Trophies of Slaughter, which is add 1 to the leadership of friendly Black Legion units within 6 inches of the bearer. In addition, subtract 1 from the leadership characteristic of enemy units while they are within 6 inches of the bearer. Kind of situational. I don't see a point for that one, really.
Yeah.
Sightless Helm. Worsen the bearer's ballistic skill characteristic by 1, so a ballistic skill 2 becomes ballistic skill 3, but improve the armor pen of all the bearer's weapons by 1. So that could be interesting.
That could be interesting. I mean, it seems pretty good on, I don't know, something like, what doesn't have, like a combi bolter? A combi bolter would be good. Just pump out a lot of shots, and now it has AP -1. That could be good. Pretty much.
What's interesting is it says all the bearer's weapons, not just ranged weapons. So you sacrifice ballistic skill to get an additional AP on all of your weapons.
That is true. That could be good for things like lightning claws too. Give them a little more AP. Yeah.
Exactly. The sort of stuff where it's I don't have a ranged weapon anyway.
Yeah.
My personal favorite, Angel's Bane, which is an upgraded combi bolter. Same rank 24, rapid fire 2, strength 5, AP -2, 2 damage, 3 damage if the target is Imperium.
I love it. I love how that gun can just one-shot aggressors and Centurions. Centurions are only 3 wounds, right?
Should be 4, I think.
I'm fairly sure Centurions are 3 wounds.
I honestly don't know. I just gonna check that real quick.
Yeah, I don't know. But one or the other. I mean, any sort of 3 wound models that are Imperium, that gun just kind of shreds through, which I find pretty funny. Coupled with Veterans of the Long War, against a knight, it's popping off 3 damage a shot. So, I mean, that's kind of cool. I mean, considering the majority of the armies in the game are Imperium, you're going to be able to use that quite a bit. I don't think it'd be a smart relic to take in a competitive setting where you don't know exactly what you're playing. But if you do know you're playing Imperium, I would take that relic.
It is good.
Yeah.
So then we have the Cloak of Conquest, which is each time the bearer slays an enemy character, add 1 to his strength, attacks, and leadership until the end of the battle. So give it on a Demon Prince or something, send him to go be an assassin and buff himself.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty good.
And finally, Spine Shiver Blade, which is an upgraded power sword that gives you +1 strength, AP -3, 1 damage, but each time the bearer fights, it can make D6 additional attacks with its weapons.
Wow. Yeah, that's pretty insane.
It's not bad.
I'm like picturing that coupled with the chainsword relic, dual wielding them, but you can't do that, I guess.
Yeah, I wish.
Can't put
You
2
can-
relics on one person.
You can put that on basically a Slanesh Lord and just
Rip and
double
tear.
him with Endless Cacophony, I think? Wasn't that also for the fight, or was it just shooting?
No, that's just shooting. Corn's the
then
one that lets you
Khorne-
fight twice.
Khorne, the one with the fighting.
Yeah.
That sounds nice.
Yeah.
So you get 2d6 extra attacks.
So now,
It would actually be fluffy too. 1 second, because you mentioned that. The fluff for this, I gotta read this because you mentioned Khorne. Forged from the spinal column of a mighty keeper of secrets, this blade lashes out in mockery of that demon's final excessive death throes.
That is hilarious.
So it would fit for a Khorne Lord too.
yeah, to have it mocking Slanesh, that's pretty good. Nice little flavor nugget right there. Now, stratagems. I know Black Legion got quite a few stratagems. Let's talk about those.
They have 8.
Wow. All right.
They're pretty good too.
Did I just hear 8?
8 extra stratagems.
Just for Black Legion.
Yep.
Jesus
So-
Christ.
Go down the list. Let the Galaxy Burn.
We know that
Yes.
one. That
Okay,
one's
that's the existing one.
that one's been in the Codex. Yeah,
Okay. Chosen of the Pantheon,
I like
which
this
is
one.
where
All 4 marks?
this is the one. Yes, pick a Black Legion unit with Mark of Chaos keyword that you did not dedicate to. So basically, you take an undivided, you give them all 4 marks for the turn.
Yeah, that's insane. The amount of bullshit you could pull off with obliterators doing that is just absurd. Make
It'd
them
be nicer if Mark still gave you bonuses.
Oh man,
Oh, yeah.
you drop those obliterators near a corn demon with the relic crown, and you can endless cacophony them to shoot twice, and then on 5s, those hits are becoming more hits because of the corn buff. So, and then if you or wounds rather, sorry, on wounds of 5+, and then if you veterans of the long war them, that's going off on 4s.
Quick question.
Yeah.
The different heralds of each god, do those auras stack in that case?
That's a good question.
I don't know.
Because if yes, you could put the demon engine down, give it all 4 marks, put 4 heralds and the greater possessed next to it, and have +5 strength.
Yeah, but I don't see. There's no demon engine that's strength user, or that's able to keep up. Like they wouldn't be able to stay together. I feel like it would be like there's none of them with strength user ranged weapons, which is the only time I could see that working.
Yeah, but I'm just imagining the horror of in someone's
There
face
is a
if you
demon
just drop
engine
that.
with strength user ranged weapons.
Which one?
The
Your
Death Guard
favorite.
one.
Oh, the Venom Crawler. Oh my god, I forgot about him.
Wait,
Yeah,
he has that on his guns, right?
the Venom Crawler strength user.
Oh.
Huh.
Oh my.
But I don't know. With Chosen of the Pantheon, does that kind of specify any certain unit type, or is it just any unit?
It is pick a Black Legion unit from your army with the Mark of Chaos keyword that you did not dedicate to a specific god.
So yeah, you could essentially, if you had all 4 heralds and you stuck them next to a Venom Crawler and you used that for 1 turn, the Venom Crawler might actually be decent.
Right?
That is hilarious.
So moving
man.
on, this next one is the big one. This is like the game ender one. It's expensive. This is 3 command points, but it is called World Killers, and I'm going to read this. Use this stratagem at the start of any battle round. Until the end of that battle round, enemy units cannot use any abilities that allow them to control an objective marker if there are any Black Legion units from your army within 3 inches of the center of that objective marker, even if there are more enemy models within range of it. So it removes objective secured.
That is so huge. The tactical possibilities that opens up is just gigantic, and it's absolutely worth 3 points.
Oh yeah,
Absolutely.
That would kill ITC.
Yeah. I mean, it's
Good.
probably
That just
yeah,
flat out
good.
kills it.
I mean, being able to just be like, no, you're not scoring points this time. I mean, it just completely. I mean, it screws people over tremendously. I mean, it legit. That's a stratagem that can legit turn a game. So, it's very, very good. I like that it's expensive. I even like that it exists. I don't think it's.
yeah.
I don't think it's overpowered, though. As good as it is, I don't think it's overpowered purely because you kind of have to... If you're getting beat enough, just denying 1 point won't really make a difference. But if it's like a really close game, that's kind of your ace in the hole. That's kind of like your trump card, so to speak, that you can kind of pull out, and you have that as part of your strategy.
I find it no different than like Agents of Vect. I could potentially see them in an FAQ saying you can only use it once a game, and I'm fine with that anyway because it's so expensive.
Yeah.
But it's around the
I
same
think they're
level.
gonna make it once per game. It doesn't really do much.
Yeah, I don't think they would, but I could see them
Yeah.
complaining.
I don't think
Speaking
it's...
of agents, it would shut that down.
Why?
Agents of Vect would shut that down,
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is fine. It's honestly fine. That's
Yeah.
fair.
Yeah, that's kind of its...
there's also enough stratagems you have where you could hold on to that and try and bait them into using,
Yeah.
using on something else.
Yeah, like you crash a Kaitan into their army, and all of a sudden you go to pop Demon Forge. Is he gonna
Right.
wanna? Is he gonna wanna vect the Demon Forge, or is he gonna wait, thinking that you're gonna eat an objective later in the game. I mean,
Right.
there's
That's
plenty of
what I like
ways.
about it.
Yeah, there's plenty of stratagems in the Chaos book to bait out Vect, so I don't think that's going to be that big of a deal.
Endless cacophony on 4 chain cannons.
Yeah, or obliterators, like 195 point obliterators.
So, next is the relic one. We all know that. Merciless Fighters. This is an interesting one. So you use it at the start of the fight phase. Pick a Black Legion unit from your army. If that unit has more models than there are enemy models within 3 inches of it, till the end of the phase, you get +1 attack.
So it's a win more stratagem.
Yeah.
Put it on cultists.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah, put it on cultists. Put
Yeah,
it on.
You could.
They just flat win with that.
It's a shame Black Legion can't take Zangor.
Oh god.
Oh, gee, I would love that.
That would be ridiculous.
They
Right.
already get more than enough attacks on their own,
Yeah.
and get buffed by the shamans, so they would hit on 2s already.
Yeah, that'd be pretty awesome. What's the next one?
Next one is called Tip of the Spear. You use it at the start of your first shooting phase. So, first shooting phase.
Mm-hmm.
You can reroll hit rolls for the Black Legion unit from your army that is closest to an enemy unit. And if several units are equidistant, you can pick. So, use it at the start. You pick whatever unit of yours is closest to an enemy, you can reroll hit rolls.
Yeah, that's pretty good. It's a nice little stratagem to kind of get some extra damage in early. Probably good on things like tanks that are going to be rolling up.
It rewards foresight. That's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah, it rewards playing aggressive too. So
Yeah.
Next one is I think it's pretty useless. It's Legacy of Horus. Use the stratagem at the start of the morale phase. Until the end of the phase, add 1 to the leadership characteristic of Legion except Black Legion units while they were within 6 inches of any friendly Black Legion unit. So if you're running a mixed army for some reason, you can buff them. So
yeah,
you can give +1 leadership to your Red Corsair battalion.
yeah. Yeah, that's probably going to be very corner case.
No, I don't. That's not.
I don't see
know.
that. That one seems useless.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you spread your legion trait to other legions for. Why?
Right.
Yeah,
Morale's not a big enough factor in this game for it to matter.
Even less for marines.
Yeah. And then finally, this one's good too. Council of Traitors. So you use this stratagem. This is a 1 CP stratagem. Use the stratagem before the battle if your warlord is a Black Legion Chaos Lord, Demon Prince, or Abaddon the Despoiler. Pick up to 1 Black Legion Dark Apostle and up to 1 Black Legion Sorcerer from your army. Generate a warlord trait for each model you picked. So you can use it and you can give 2 guys extra warlord traits.
yeah,
So you can have 4 warlords on the field because we have field commander if you
Yes.
use a special attachment.
Correct.
yeah. That's
nice.
pretty
And-
cool.
Now, what makes that so good is they have a warlord trait called Trusted War Leader. While your warlord is on the battlefield, roll a d6 each time you spend a command point to use a stratagem. On a 5-up, that command point is immediately refunded.
So you could just give that to something like a Dark Apostle who doesn't
Yep.
really need a different warlord trait, and he could be there to refund your command points. That's pretty big.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. I could definitely see the pro to that. And with Red Corsairs, which we're going to be talking about in a little bit, with if you take Red Corsairs with you, just gets even better. Chaos is its own CP battery now,
Yeah.
so that's pretty good. But yeah, that's pretty much all the Black Legion stratagems, relics, and the warlord traits. Did we talk about the warlord traits yet? I know we just talked about the CP
Not
refund.
the other ones. There's
What other ones are worthy of note?
there's one that all damage suffered by your warlord is halved rounding up. That one's going to be really good.
Yeah, that is really good. They give him the Abaddon rule.
Yes.
Put that on a nice beefy melee lord and then just go to town.
Or
Exactly.
honestly, if I was running Black Legion, that's what I would throw on the Lord Discordant.
That's a good idea, actually.
You
I-
can't. Unless he's the warlord himself.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Make him the warlord.
Yeah, then he can, because Field Commander, you have to take the one from the Specialist Detachment, and Council of Traders doesn't work on Warp Smiths, because if
Yeah.
it did, it would be amazing for this.
Yeah.
I mean, there's also the generic Warlord trait with the 6+ Funeral Pain you can give him, I guess, on the extra wound for
yeah, I mean, it just
the Lord
says-
Discordant. Would
It
save
just says generate a
something.
Warlord trait, so...
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that would be pretty good.
Yeah, let's see. Black-clad Brute gives you +1 strength, and in addition, after your Warlord makes a charge move, pick an enemy unit within 1 inch of your Warlord and roll a d6 on a 4-up. That unit suffers d3 mortal wounds.
Okay.
It's fine,
Uh,
I guess.
Soul Eater's not bad. Each time your Warlord destroys an enemy unit, your Warlord immediately gains d3 lost wounds. Could be nice on like a Demon Prince or something.
Throw it on the the Master of Executions.
Right.
Put it on Lord Discordance, and he heals
Yeah.
D3 for himself and D3 for a Demon Engine if he kills a vehicle.
There you go.
Or
Yeah.
heal 2D3 on himself.
You could essentially make him like a giant healing machine and make that how he is hard to kill, but I still think he's too easy to kill just in one round of shooting, so you'll never really get
You
to
would
heal
need
with
to
him.
get there first.
Yeah.
Right. And the last one is First Amongst Traders, which is we already know about.
Yeah.
Death of the False Emperors on a 5.
Yep. Okay.
And then Abaddon always has that, and Harkin always has Lord of Terror from the Codex.
Yeah. Okay.
If you would make him a warlord for some reason.
So that's Black Legion. The other big addition as far as legions go for Vigilus is the Renegade chapters. This was pretty big that they decided to flesh out a few Renegade chapters and give them their own rules. I think it was Red Corsairs, Crimson Slaughter, Brazen Beasts, the Scourge,
The Purge.
the Purge,
think.
Purge, Scourged, and Flawless Host.
and Flawless Hosts, yeah. So let's start with the Red Corsairs, because I think they're actually probably the biggest right now, at least the most buzz about them. Their Legion trait is really good. Essentially, you get +1 to your detachments if you take what? What do you have to do for them?
It's if a detachment contains 3 or more units with the trait,
Yeah.
that detachment's command benefits are increased by 1. It's increased by 3 if you have 3 or more units of Chaos Marines, and they still keep the run and charge, because the rest of them don't have the run and charge.
Yeah. So that they could still run in charge, and as long as you take any troops, your battalion is getting +1 CP. If all 3 of those troop slots are Chaos Marines, now you're getting +3 CP, which is huge and gives you a whole bunch of incentive to run Chaos Marines, which is pretty
Doesn't
great.
it give you +4?
Well,
No, it's
yeah.
It's 3 instead of 1, or
it's 3 instead of 1.
Yeah.
All right, fair.
Jesus.
So basically, this is the Chaos equivalent of the Loyal 32, the Heretical 17, I believe is what it's being called.
The Red 17.
Yeah, various stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'll refrain from my opinion. I think it's awful. They should be limiting this, not increasing it.
Yeah, that's probably a good topic for another show. Just we could do a whole show on the topic of CP in this game. So I look forward to that, because that'll probably be pretty soon. Their trait though is really good. I mean, in a spearhead detachment, you could take 3 Leviathans and get +1 CP from it, because Leviathans get a Legion trait. So
Oh yeah.
I mean, you could do the same thing with Hellbrutes, Hellforged Contemptors, what else? A lot. Troops, Bikers, so your fast attacks, if you take Bikers, are going to have +1, any infantry, so Possessed and all that. I mean, the amount of things you could do with it is pretty fantastic. I mean, you can make a lot of CP for really cheap with Red Corsairs now. What's their Warlord trait?
Their warlord trait is called Reaver Lord. Your army can have 1 extra relic, which must be given to a Red Corsair's character. In addition, each time your warlord slays an enemy character, add 1 to your warlord's attack characteristic until the end of the battle.
That's pretty big. That's a free extra relic, which is pretty cool. Their relic is really good too. It's that combi melta, right?
Traits. Yes. Maelstrom's Bite.
Maelstrom's Bite, yeah. I know it's a combi melt, and the melta part of it's actually strength 9, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah. And the bolt gun part is rapid fire 3 with a -1 AP and 2
Yeah.
damage.
Yeah, it's really good. So you'll want to run that, and then I don't know, do they get any other relics, or is that it?
They don't, but the extra relic from the Warlord trait can be chosen from Artifacts of Chaos in the Codex. I mean, minus any, Legion-specific ones.
Yeah, so you could take that, and you could put a murder sword on somebody else or something. I mean, it's pretty good. Just being able to upgrade a weapon for free pretty much is pretty good. Red Corsairs made out really well. So all you Red Corsairs players out there, congratulations. You now have more CP than Guard. It's pretty silly how much CP a Red Corsairs army can actually get if you tried to min-max it. So that's something to look forward to or to not look forward to, depending on your outlook on the CP system of this game. Crimson Slaughter is another Renegade group that got some new goodies. What's going on with them?
So Crimson Slaughter has, if they destroy an enemy unit on a 5-up, they get a command point, and that unit passes morale test until the end of the turn.
That's pretty good.
So their Warlord trait is -1 leadership of enemy units within 6 inches. If your Warlord has slain any enemy models until the end of the battle, it's -2 leadership, so not that good. But their weapon, Blade of the Relentless, is actually pretty interesting because it's replaces a power sword, strength +1, AP -3, damage 1. If the bearer slays any enemy models in the fight phase, then from the end of that fight phase until the end of the battle, it automatically wounds.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Especially if you put it on something with a lot of attacks. I'm trying to think of who that would probably be best on.
I can't think off the top of my head because it has to be a power sword, so you
Yeah.
can't give it to Prince.
Oh man, yeah, I was gonna say if you could give it to a Demon Prince, oh boy, that would be disgusting.
It'd probably have to be a Chaos Sword.
Can't Terminator Lords take power swords?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of something with an outrageous number of attacks though, that has a power sword.
I don't think there was anything.
Lucius.
Put down Diabolic Strength for extra attacks.
Yeah, that's probably what you'd have to do. Just put it on a Jump Lord, your generic Jump Lord, and
Or
buff
take
him up.
Terminator Sorcerer. Oh no, because that you can't. He has a lower.
If you take a Sorcerer and Terminator armor, you can put that on him, give him Diabolic Strength to buff himself, and then charge him 9 inches.
Yeah,
Works, kinda.
make a sorcerer, a warrior sorcerer. That would actually be pretty badass.
They need to bring back the Sorcerer Lord. So, next is the Purge.
The Purge.
Which, like their name says, they want to kill everything. Their trait is, you can reroll hit rolls for attacks made by units with this trait that target enemy units that have lost 1 or more wounds already this turn.
Okay. So anything that's already been damaged, they can reroll hit rolls versus, essentially.
Yes. Oh, and since we skipped it, the Renegade Stratagems, the Red Corsair one basically gives them Tide of Traitors for Space Marine.
Which is awesome. A 20-man squad of Space Marines just scooping them up and putting them somewhere else at full strength. That's pretty awesome.
Yes.
Does that work on Havocs?
No.
No, specifically Red Corsair's Chaos Space Marine.
Oh, well. Take
So-
20 with Chain Axles.
Yeah. It is 3 CP, though.
See,
So
you
it's
got new Berserkers.
Yeah. Too bad.
So-
Chaos Marines can't even take chain axes. Only the leader can.
Yeah.
Well, that is not my problem.
Right, so the Crimson Slaughter stratagem is you pick a terrain feature within 12 inches and subtract 1 from hit rolls from attacks made by enemy units within 3 inches of that terrain piece. Not terrible.
Where can you pick it from? Like, how far away does it have to be?
Within 12 inches of a unit from your army.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, because of if you could just globally pick any terrain feature whenever you use it, that would be busted. But
Yeah.
I guess it's still pretty good. 12 inches is a little short. I feel like anything that you're that close to, I don't know. I don't know how much use that's going to be, but I could
Well, it's a
definitely see
mini
it having
unit,
use.
so
Yeah, it'll definitely have a use.
what makes it neat too is it's essentially the fluffer. It basically, because they have spirits, it's like Paranormal Activity, like all this weird poltergeist shit going on.
Oh, spooky ghost!
Right.
I can't
So back-
shoot because I'm scared.
So back to the Purge. Their Warlord trait is reroll wounds rolls of 1 for attacks made by your Warlord. In addition, you can reroll damage rolls for weapons used by your Warlord. Their stratagem is called All Life is Worthless. And it's in the shooting phase, pick a Purge unit from your army that is not within 1 inch of enemy models. That unit can target enemy models within 1 inch of a friendly unit until the end of the phase, but on a 1, you attack your own unit.
See, I feel like that should just be a standard rule in general.
I think it should be.
So basically, they're Skaven.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wonderful.
They could shoot into their own people, but they risk hurting them. I think that's an awesome rule. I think GW should make that standard for the shooting phase. Like, if you want to shoot into melee, then okay, but you might hit your own guys. I feel like that should be a thing in Age of Sigmar as well.
I got a brilliant idea. You take Karn, you put a Scourge unit next to him, you charge in the same direction, then you fight with Karn and then shoot with the Purge. Kill your own unit better than the enemy.
Karn does. I watched a battle report where Karn one-shotted his own Exalted Champion, so that was pretty funny.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. Didn't
Alright,
kill
so-
any of the enemy guys. He just killed his Exalted Champion.
Funny. So we have the Scourged. Their Renegade trait is you can reroll 1 hit roll for an attack made by a model in a unit with this trait each time it shoots or fights. In addition, they Overwatch on a 5-up.
So they're kind of like the bastard child of Salamanders and Tau Sept.
Kinda.
Yeah.
The Purge is Purge's artifact is it's called the Orb of Unlife. You can basically throw it. You pick a point within 8 inches, a d6 for each unit within d6 inches of that point, subtracting 2 if it's a vehicle. On a 4-up, it's d3 mortal wounds. So you pick an area within d6 inches of that, you can do mortal wounds. Seems weird.
Yeah, it's
That
like a mortal wound
sounds-
grenade.
Yeah.
It's like the Space Marines all over bombardment.
Kinda, yeah. So, the Scourged Warlord trait is at the start of each fight phase, you can pick an enemy unit within 3 inches of the Warlord. That unit cannot be picked to fight in the fight phase until all other units able to fight have done so. If the target has an ability that allows it to fight first, it instead fights as if it didn't have that ability. If both players have units that cannot fight until other units have done so, alternate picking. So basically, you pick a unit, they fight last. If they could fight first, they don't get to fight first.
So it's like the Space Wolves relic, the Armor of Russ. Does the same exact thing.
I guess.
Yeah, so... Yeah, you charge him into something dangerous, and you're like, okay, Mr. Dangerous Guy, you're fighting last. And now you can get all your shots in before the dangerous thing gets to fight. I remember when the Space Wolves Codex first came out, I didn't know what they did, and I charged the Knight Gallant into a bunch of Space Wolves heroes, and
How'd that work?
I regretted it immensely, because he was pretty much one-shotted because he couldn't attack. Because I didn't know at all what the Armor of Rust did, so...
So, the Scourged stratagem is use the stratagem after your opponent sets up a unit that's arriving from reinforcements. Pick a Scourged infantry unit from your army within 12 inches, and you can shoot them.
So, Auspex scan.
Auspex scan, yeah.
Yes.
So, do the Renegades just steal from everybody just
Yeah.
right now? Or
They
is that
were
just me?
loyalists.
They were, so they would still remember how to do an Auspex scan.
Yeah.
I
And
think it
then-
works.
Bunch of filthy magpies.
Right. And then their artifact is each time an enemy psyker with an 18 manifests a psychic power, roll a die. On a 5-up, they suffer a mortal wound.
Okay.
I think someone else had that too.
Probably.
I don't know who had it, but it sounds vaguely familiar, but it still seems pretty good.
Yeah.
The Scourge definitely seems like it could do good as a gunline army. So,
Amusingly, depending on the wording, that stratagem has game into 1,000 suns, because you can just outright kill the sergeant with that.
Yeah.
It just says enemy. Each time an enemy psyker with an 18 inches successfully manifests a psychic power, roll a d6. On a 5+, that psyker suffers 1 mortal wound.
Yeah.
So, sounds like it could.
I guess you could technically allocate it to another Rubric Marine.
Yeah, I think you could.
Maybe it would depend on how.
Well, the thing is, the sergeant should technically be the only one considered a psyker in that unit.
Yeah, you know what though?
Because they don't split that, he is technically a Rubric Marine.
I think they actually did fact this a long time ago, because I remember this being a situation with a different rule. Because I remember reading about this very scenario almost a year ago, and I think it was that the psyker himself would indeed die, but I think it would be worth a fact again with this new rule, because I'm not 100% sure. Does the aspiring sorcerer have its own data sheet in the unit, or is it just?
It's just integrated into the Rubric Marines. He's just basically a sergeant.
Yeah, I could see the argument either way. I could definitely see just allocating it to a rubric, but because if the aspiring sorcerer, that's what it was. If the aspiring sorcerer perils, who takes the mortal wounds?
Right, that was I think, but I think Games Workshop never really addressed that.
Yeah, that's what it was. Nobody knows what happens if the sorcerer perils.
Which luckily has not happened that often for me yet. It's
Yeah.
usually Ariman who blows himself up.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm glad you mentioned it, because I knew I heard this scenario somewhere, and it would seem really weird to me to have the sorcerer perils and then just a Rubric Marine die.
So next up is Brazen Beasts, which is your new favorite at the moment.
They're my favorite, even though they're not that good, but they're my favorite.
This is pretty good, actually. Each time you make a wound roll of 6 or more for an attack made by a model with this trait in the fight phase during a turn in which it was charged, or performed a heroic intervention, that hit is resolved with an AP of -4.
So everybody has Rending Claws.
Basically.
It's awesome. I love it. That's why I'm having a squad of 20 Chainsword Marines and a Dark Apostle. He's just going to run them in there, and they're going to be rending on 5s.
That's a pretty good Legion trait, actually.
Yeah.
It would be better if they could get Veterans of the Long War.
Oh my god.
They can't, because imagine that.
Oh god.
Suck it, boys.
Rending on 4.
Right?
You can. I think there's other means to buff you to wound roll.
There might be.
I know the Apostle's the only one I can think of. So.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. The Apostle would make it a 5-up. So
their Warlord trait is pretty good.
I do like their Warlord trait a lot. I like their Warlord. I like everything about them, even though they're kind of corner case. I'll let you finish what you're saying, but I just like all these rules.
It's pretty good. Another Warlord trait is each time your Warlord slays an enemy character, he gets +2 strength and attack until the end of the. So give that to a Demon Prince or something, and have him bounce around basically killing people, and then he's like, I have 20 attacks, have fun.
Yeah, you cut out a bit there, but what you said was he gets it till the end of the battle, so it stacks. Yes. And it continues to stack, so you can throw it on a Demon Prince and just go nuts, which I think is awesome.
I got a better idea. Put it on the priest, let him pray that he gets the -4 and 3 extra attacks.
Yeah.
That's right.
Add Diabolic Strength on top, and you have a pretty decent character assassin in form of your fucking priest.
Yeah, but the Dark Apostle would actually have to be able to get into a hero, though. That's the only problem.
Put him in Rhino.
You're better off. You're actually better off probably putting it on a Jump Lord that can deep strike in the back line somewhere.
I guess if you want to be boring.
And I think it would also be kind of good on a Lord Discordant if you could send him after characters, because then he just starts snowballing out of control, and it.
In the best case, the enemy is an Ultramarine, and he brings Sergeant Kronos.
Yeah, and it stacks even better with the relic, which I'm gonna let Wayne go over.
So, stratagem next. End of the fight phase, an enemy unit within 1 inch of any beast demon engine roll a die. On a 2 to 4, they suffer D3 mortal wounds. On a 5 to 6, it suffers 3 mortal wounds.
Yeah.
All right, never mind. I think I like the brazen dudes.
Yeah, Brazen Beasts are cool.
Lord Discordant and a bunch of demon engines. Hey, I'm gonna damage you. Hey, eat some mortal wounds.
Yeah.
Like, seriously, everything kind of works for the Lord Discordance right there.
Yeah. I mean, the
That's
Brazen...
neat.
Well, the Brazen Beasts are a Renegade chapter that specializes in demon engines. So that's why everything is kind of cycled around them. They were a loyalist chapter that got trapped on a demon world, and they survived by trapping demons inside of tanks and stuff. And now they worship a Lord of Skulls. They call it the Caged God. So, yeah, they're like a crazy renegade warband that worships demon engines. So, they're gonna support them pretty well. It's a shame that the trait doesn't work for demon engines too, but I can live without it.
That's bad.
Yeah, well, none of the Legion traits work for demon engines.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you still have, like, the Warlord trait, and
Yeah.
remember,
Yeah.
the Hellstalker scales off of his strength
Yep.
with every of his attack,
Yeah. So,
which is nasty.
yeah, that is the good thing. The relic is even better. I think it's the demon gore plate.
Demon flesh plate.
Uh,
So they get a 2-up save and +1 move and attack.
yeah. So that's really
That's
good.
kind of okay.
That's plus. You put that Lord Discordant inside of a Soulforge pack, it now has +3 movement.
I mean, he doesn't really need the extra movement, but
Yes.
the attack is nice.
Yes, he does.
He does if he's going around killing characters.
Yeah, you
I
need
mean,
him to
he
go
has
around
already
killing
six-
characters.
If you have the Warlord trait on him, he already has +2, so 16?
God.
14.
Exactly.
Jesus, get out of my face! Just ruining everything. Ruining everything.
All right, and
Alright,
then
fine, take the
finally,
15.
finally, we have the Flawless Host.
I forgot about them.
Yeah, so basically, their renegade trait is they get Death of the False Emperor
They get Death to the False Emperor on what?
against everyone. Hit rolls of a 6+, they can make an extra.
Oh,
In
Wayne,
addition to the attack by Death of the False Emperor.
that's pretty good. Wayne, you're experiencing some technical difficulties, though, man. You keep cutting out.
Yeah, you're cutting out on my end, so.
Well, my end is more important. You mean nothing.
Alright, so if you attack some Imperial scum, you suddenly explode into 3 hits within a 6.
Yes.
Yeah.
At Prescience, my friends.
And Dark Apostle can give you a bonus. That might be only for.
Yeah, I think the buff to hit is only for ranged on the Dark
Yeah.
Apostle.
Yeah.
So, Prescience, though. Flawless Hosts are getting quite a few attacks versus Imperium, so that's pretty good.
Right. So their stratagem, or their warlord trait is, if your warlord generates an extra attack as a result of Death to the Imperfect, which is what their trait is called,
Hmm.
they get 3 attacks instead of 1.
That's pretty
Oh
good.
1 second. Do they trigger that Death to the False Emperor rip off on shooting and attacks too?
I don't think so. I think it's only melee.
For their trait?
No,
I
he
know
means Death
Death
to the
to the
False
False-
Emperor.
Death to the False Emperor is in melee only. I know
Yes,
that.
melee. Their trait is. Yeah, it's still melee.
Ah, damn it. I just thought about like taking a pack of obliterators and put Portal's Cacophony on them.
Oh god.
Yeah, that would be
Yeah, no.
that would be dumb.
That
would
would
be
be glorious.
That would be
firepower.
so dumb. Oh man, I'm glad they didn't do that. Because then obliterators would have to be 115 points.
Jesus Christ, that
Ugh.
would have been really hilarious.
That'd be awesome though. I would play him. Because I'm all about that cheese.
I know.
So yeah, that's pretty much all the Renegade chapters, yeah?
Yeah, so they're the Flawless Host stratagem is they can reroll hit rolls, and their artifact adds +1 attack and +3 to their aura, so like the Death Guard relic.
Okay.
That's fine.
And kind of like the Word Bearer's Warlord trait.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, that's pretty good. The other big thing in Vigilus is specialist attachments. These can go into any of the legions. None of them are legion locked, to my knowledge. So
One of them is.
One is.
Oh,
the
yeah.
Terminator.
Bringers of Despair, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
Bringers of Despair.
that's the one that's Legion locked to Black Legion, but that's obvious because Bringers of Despair are a Black Legion thing. Since we're on that subject, what does Bringers of Despair do?
Bringers of Despair. So, you pick a Black Legion Terminator unit. Your Warlord trait you can pick is called Chosen of the War Master. You reroll hit rolls of 1 for attacks made by friendly Bringers of Despair while they're within 6 inches. If your Warlord has Lord of Chaos ability, you reroll hit rolls for attacks. Reroll all hit rolls for attacks.
Yeah, that's really good.
The relic is called Foe Cleaver, which is basically an upgraded power axe. Strength +3, AP -2, damage D3, and add 1 to hit rolls if you target Imperium.
Yeah, that's pretty decent. I could definitely see that on a Terminator Lord with a power axe.
Could be good.
Yeah.
And they have 2 stratagems. Brutal Subjugation, which is you pick a bringer of the start of the fight phase, pick a Bringer of Despair unit. Each enemy model slain by this unit counts as 2 models in the morale phase.
Yeah.
Situational depending on what you do.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Chosen Enforcers. Use this stratagem when a friendly Heretic Astartes unit within 18 inches bringers basically if they're within 18 inches of them and they fail a morale test or they need to take a morale test, they automatically pass.
Mm-hmm.
What makes it interesting is it's a 1 CP stratagem.
Ah. So yeah, that's pretty good.
It's not bad.
Yeah, it keeps your cultists from fleeing.
I mean, if you run Black Legion, you run Abaddon, so they're not. But details.
Yeah.
I mean, Abaddon's not going to be everywhere on the battlefield, so it could still come up. Yeah.
Nice to have.
Yeah, it's a good little thing to have. The next specialist attachment is Soulforge Pack.
Oh,
I want
the good one.
Yeah, I want to talk about the good one because this one's my favorite.
Okay. Oh yeah, this one's mine too.
I love it.
I think we all do. So you pick a detachment. Warpsmith and Demon Engine packs. A detachment gain Soulforge Pack. The Warlord trait adds 2 to the movement of friendly Soulforge Pack Demon Engines within 6 inches. So Lord Discordant with friends.
Yep, my 14-inch move, Kaitan.
Right. The relic is upgraded Mecha Tendrils. +1 strength, -1 AP, 2 damage. Each time the bearer fights, you make 1 attack for each enemy model within 1 inch of the bearer.
Yeah, I really like that.
It's not that good. It's nice to have if you don't have, but if you put your Lord Discordant into a horde, you don't want that. You want to kill vehicles with them.
Right. Listen. Okay, I'm about to drop some knowledge on you. All right, the Lord Discordant hits on 2s and will most likely wound most hordes on 2s. If he has an attack, what's the AP on that relic, Wayne?
-1.
Okay. A lot of hordes have a 5-up save at best. No invuln. So you're looking at, say it's like a group of 50 boys. You're hitting 50 times. You're gonna hit like 40 times, wound on like 35 of them. You're gonna kill 35 boys.
You're not gonna get 50 boys into 1 inch reach.
Yes, you will, because they will surround him in 2 ranks, and that will happen. Okay, it happens. I've seen it. It's gonna happen. He's gonna crash in.
Point, they already swung and he's dead.
He's not though. He's not because he has a 2-up save because he has demon flesh plate on, and they don't have any AP. So I don't know, man. And plus he could charge. You charge him into like a squad of 10 guardians. All 10 of those guardians are going to be dead. It's just boom, dead. Just paste, red mist.
They would already be dead before he gets to the mechandrite attacks.
Yeah, but you don't do those attacks on them. What you do is you multi-charge. You charge multiple units, and then you use the mech tendrils on the biggest one, and then like if you have a tank next to a unit of dudes, you could kill all the dudes and kill the tank.
Not quite convinced.
I mean, I'm not going to take it over Demon Flesh Plate, but I still think it's got a. I still think
nice,
it's got some
but
game.
it's not a must-take or priority target, and I wouldn't spend CP on getting it.
I don't even really know if the Lord Discordant is really that great against tanks either. Anyway, I mean,
he has his glaive. On the charge, he's at strength 8.
Yeah, I mean, it wounds like Lehman Russ's on a 4.
If you put Diabolic on him beforehand, it's 3s, but
maybe if you have a sorcerer that could keep up with him.
He has strength 7 on his additional attacks for his Hellstalker.
Yeah.
And strength 8 on his Injector, which also does mortal wounds if you wound.
So
and all of them have a decent AP.
So the Lord Discordant is really good against Necron vehicles, is what I'm hearing. Anything over that though, he
can threaten Predators pretty well. I would say he can threaten mainline guard tanks pretty decently.
Besides Lehman Russ's.
Lehman Russ's are dump.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I think he has game into both hordes and tanks. I think he's better off just buffing Mauler Fiends and letting the Mauler Fiends take out the tanks, though. But I think he would definitely be a good elite killer. Like, you charge him into a group of Terminators and just paste them.
Well, Terminators have a 2+ save, though.
Yeah, but what's the AP on his Chain Glaive?
I think, let me check real quick.
And you do mortal wounds with the injector thing, don't you?
Only on vehicles.
Oh, darn.
It's -2.
Okay, yeah. So Terminators with a 4+ save are not that scary. So
Debladed limbs and tails also. He has 2 damage on his glaive. Yeah, I guess you can send him after the elites.
He's a Primaris killer, man. You charge him into like 20 intercessors, man, they're dead. Those intercessors can bog you down. So. I don't know.
Wait. You don't have to spend those attacks you generate on the unit that gives them to you, do you?
I don't know, Wayne. Read it to me.
For which one?
The relic, the Mechatendrils.
The relic for Soulforge.
It says, each time the bearer fights, it can make one and only one attack with this weapon for enemy model within 1 inch of bearer.
So you can technically, if you have like 10 guardsmen around you and the tank, you can put those 10 Mechanites into the tank.
Yeah, that is true.
I take it back. It sounds not quite as bad as I thought.
Yeah, in certain situations, it could be kind of silly.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't say it has to use it in those. It just says you get one for each enemy within 1 inch.
Yeah,
it was +1, right? Strength +1?
Strength +1, AP -1, 2 damage.
So you have strength 5. On those, it's, well, could be better. Put Diabolic, your strength 7, so you're winning Preds on 4s.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah, and if you have a Herald or something nearby, it's strength 8.
Yeah.
So it could work.
Niche, but doable.
Yeah. Not as bad as you thought. I'm glad we were able to get there. We got there, guys.
So there are 2 stratagems with the Soulforge pack.
I know them. One is you can pick one and run and charge with it, a Demon Forge one. And the other one is you double all wounds regarding those tables they have.
Yeah.
So basically they fight at full strength.
Which is great.
Yeah, yes. It's really good. I can't wait oh my god, I can't wait to use this detachment with my Kaitan. Warp time into run and charge is going to be just stupid. Especially considering it can run 2d6.
If you roll that double 6, you got 26, 40, 52 plus the charge.
I could pretty much span the table long ways at that point.
You can basically say I charge whatever I want.
Yeah. Oh man. That is something.
Well, you would need to get the Sorcerer Lord or the Sorcerer into range for warp time first, but...
Yeah, that wouldn't be hard. I mean, after the first movement phase, if I take a Sorcerer with a jump pack, he should be able to keep up enough.
Warp time is 3 inches.
I know. Well, what you do is you move the jump pack sorcerer first, and you move him as far as he'll go. You hopefully get a good advance roll, so you don't waste too much of the Kaitan. But then you move the Kaitan whatever the sorcerer moved +3, so he's still in range. Yeah, you might waste some of his first movement, but honestly, on most tables, you're not going to need that much. So as long as you move him second and keep him near the sorcerer, then you just warp time again, and you'll get him where he needs to go. You just have to make sure you do your order of operations correctly.
Missing out a movement.
Yeah, it'll be all right. But yeah, Devastation Battery is the next one. We could talk about that one because that one's pretty cool too, especially with the new Havocs. What's that one looking like, Wayne?
So that one is any Dark Apostle, Dark Disciple, Master of Possession. Oh, that's Demonkin. That's the wrong one. That doesn't sound right. Here we go.
I'm like, man,
Chaos
this is weird.
Lords, yeah. Chaos Lords, Warpsmiths, Havocs, and Obliterators.
Nice.
So your Warlord trait is reroll wounds of 1 for attacks made by friendly Devastation Battery units within 6 inches of your Warlord if the target is a vehicle.
Armor Bane.
Relic. Yeah, Armor Bane. Yep. Their relic is the start of your shooting phase. Pick a friendly Devastation Battery unit within 6 inches of the bearer. Enemies do not receive cover against that unit's weapons, so just play Iron Warriors and who cares?
Yeah. Don't waste the relic. Play Iron Warriors.
Exactly. So stratagems, they have one that they have one that gives you reroll damage against buildings because everyone uses buildings.
Yeah.
Well, news Chaos Marines might.
Yeah, Chaos Marines might. It'll be good against ourselves. Go figure.
The next one is actually pretty good. It's use this stratagem at the end of your opponent's first movement phase if you did not have the first. Pick a Devastation Battery unit from your army. That unit can shoot as if it were the shooting phase.
Yeah, that's a really, really good stratagem if you don't get first turn.
That one's really good.
Yeah, I mean, you can reliably bracket a knight before it has a chance to buff up. Like, you can't, because it happens at the end of the movement phase before their psychic phase and everything.
And he can't rotate ion shields.
Yeah, he can rotate ion shields, but that's it. So...
But then he wastes CP because he has to rotate again for your shooting phase later.
Yeah, and if it's a Castellan, that's 3 CP right there that he's using just to rotate. So that you just made the Knight player use 6 CP to rotate ion shields twice, just because your Havocs can shoot at the end of his movement phase. That's pretty good.
What I just noticed though, it said Warpsmith, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
You can put the Lotus Cordon in that.
Yes, you can.
That's nice.
Yeah, I don't think he adds much to that one though.
I mean, reroll wounds against vehicles. He wants to kill vehicles.
Yeah, but I think he's better served elsewhere. I'd rather put it on a Lord and keep the Lord back with a bunch of Havocs. That way they're re-rolling wounds and hit rolls of 1.
Just saying, in case you have one nearby, you can put him in for the case you get to the vehicle and then just pop it.
I mean,
it's nice to have.
Yeah.
Just...
I don't think it's the best fit for him, but...
No, it's definitely not. Soulforge is better, but if you want to run one anyways, you can plug them in.
If you want to run 2, you could run 1 in each.
That too.
Redundancy.
We back at that, yes.
Yeah. So that's Devastation Battery. Yeah, I really like that stratagem. I think it's going to see quite a bit of play. Soulforge Pack and Devastation Battery are definitely the two I see. I can see doing the most. However, Host Raptorial is actually pretty good. Wayne, let's go to that one next, because that one's actually pretty interesting.
So, Host Raptorial is Legion Jump Pack units. So that includes Warp Talons. Warlord trait is you add 2 to the charge rolls made for friendly Raptorial units while they were within 6 inches of your Warlord.
Yeah, that's huge. I mean, it makes Harkin good now. I mean, he could come down, and pretty much everybody he comes down with is now charging on a 7 instead of a 9.
He can't take that though.
No, but you can take another guy and keep Harkin for the buff.
Yeah.
Yes.
Drop a Jump Lord with him.
Yep.
Yeah.
So their relic is roll a d6 for each enemy unit that was moved across by the bearer in the movement or charge phase. On a 4+, that unit suffers d3 mortal. So,
Yeah. decent, but
Did it just say it in the charge phase?
Yes,
You
it
can't
did.
move over units anymore in a charge phase.
Is that a straight FAQ or is that a match play rule?
That's a beta rule for match play.
Well, it's beta rule, so they
Yeah.
don't factor it in. And match play, they don't factor it in.
yeah.
Stratagems are used when a host reptorial unit is set up on the battlefield. You can reroll hits for attacks made by that unit.
Pretty good.
Terror Strike, subtract 1 from the leadership, so more Night Lord shenanigans, you stack all the buffs with that.
Yeah. So Night Lords could do some crazy leadership things. I mean, hopefully they don't just get negated by an ability or a CP, but I mean, you could definitely leadership bomb with Night Lords with this. But I think the biggest thing is getting all these jump pack units in on a 7. That really increases their viability a good amount. I feel like, especially if you go Raptor, melee Raptors now with Harkin, being able to get them all in, get even a big blob of them, like 15 of them. 15 of them in Harkin could kick out quite a bit of hits, and they could get in reliably now too. If only Warp
Right.
Talons got a small buff to their number of attacks, they'd be pretty good too. Unfortunately, they remain unchanged, much to my dismay. But yeah, what else is there? Are there any other specialist attachments?
There's a few. One I want to just talk about just 'cause is Fallen Angels. So you can they have one for the Fall.
Oh
And
yeah,
you use it when choosing your army. You can include Sorcerers and Chaos Rhinos and Fallen units. If they do so, replace their Mark of Chaos, Heretic Astartes, and Legion with Imperium and Fallen.
yeah, that's pretty cool. I like Fallen. I wish they would flesh them out a little more. They definitely need some more stuff. Maybe even some more units. I'd like to see them become a full-fledged army of their own. Maybe one day.
Just play Dark Angels.
Now, here's something interesting. The Fallen one, if Cypher is there, he has a special ability where enemies within 12 inches of him can't use anything to refund command points. It's 18 inches if there's 10 or more Fallen within him, by him, and 24 inches if there's 20 or more Fallen within 12 inches of him. You can't regain command point.
So Cypher can shut down CP batteries.
Yes.
Is great.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I kind of want to run Cypher, honestly. I've always wanted to. I mean, there's not really much of a reason to, but he's a cool model, and he has cool fluff. So I'd really like to run him one day. I should get him painted up. He's still sitting unpainted.
Make him your warlord and get the Imperial Assassin.
Yeah, yeah, I could do that too. And then, oh man, I could just run all sorts of debauchery. That'd be pretty intense. Wasn't there a specialist attachment that focused on like possessed?
Yes. Demonkin
Ritualists?
Ritualists. Yeah, that was one I was misreading before. It's
Yeah.
Apostles, Disciples, Masters of Possession, Possessed and Greater Possession. The trait is each time you make an unmodified rune roll of 6 or an attack made with a melee weapon by a friendly Demonkin Ritualist within 6 inches of your Warlord, it's 1 mortal wound. Their relic replaces the Force Staff, so basically only on the Master of Possession. It's a +3, AP -1, damage 3 weapon. At the end of each fight phase, pick a unit within 1 inches, and that unit takes a mortal wound.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I mean, especially in a mainstream Legion where you have access to Vets of the Long War, that and the Apostle buff in melee, you're doing mortal wounds on a 4-up with Possessed.
Yeah, they have an interesting stratagem too. It's you pick a Ritualist unit within 6 inches of a Master of Possession, +1 strength and attacks for that unit.
Yeah, really good on a blob of Possessed. If only Possessed got a bit cheaper. They definitely needed a bit of a points decrease, but if you could buff up Possessed adequately enough, you could do some pretty nutty things with this detachment.
Well, the stratagem, put the Greater Possessed next to them, put the Herald next to them.
Yeah, I mean, their strength will be really high, but the problem with Possessed hasn't been their strength, it's been their number of attacks, because it's random.
Yes, but. Make them Black Legion, don't mark them. make them chosen of the gods, and suddenly you add +5.
We're just gonna stack heralds on them. That's our strategy moving forward. That's gonna be the meta option. Just
If you don't succeed, you need to use more heralds.
Yeah,
That's the takeaway today.
you take a Supreme Command detachment of Chaos Demons with all 4 heralds in it, and that's the new meta, the meta detachment,
Oh jeez, that's so dumb.
and send it after whatever unit that you want to buff through the roof. I'll be curious to see if they stack. I'm not sure if the locusts are different names. I think they are.
It
But-
should be Locus of Siege, Locus of... You know what? I'm just gonna check that out now. I'm just gonna go into Battlescribe and check that out.
Yeah, the loci aren't what buffs them though. That's not the strength buff. That's like Korn's reroll charges. Zinch, you roll a dice, and anything that's that number just misses, and like those are the loci. I forget what the actual aura is called that's on the heralds. If it's a different name, then they stack. So
Let me just
that
pull
would be
that up.
interesting.
Locus of Corn, add 1 to the strength characteristic.
Okay, so it is a locust then. Yeah, it'll
It's
work.
the Locus, yeah.
It'll work.
So there is a specialist detachment for cultists. It doesn't really seem that good. The trait is you can reroll charge rolls for them. The relic is basically a flamer, and the stratagem is when an enemy model is destroyed by an attack made by one of the specialist detachments, that cultist unit automatically passes morale test for the rest of the battle.
I mean, I could definitely see the use to it. All you need is your cultist to kill somebody. Does it say they have to kill somebody in melee, or can it be ranged?
It just says enemy model is destroyed by an attack.
So you could just shoot your cultist into something, kill one model, and then all of a sudden you've got 40, or now 30. Sorry, that's another big change, people. Cultists are now 30 models per unit, no longer 40. But anyway, you'll have 30 cultists that are fearless for the rest of the game with no need for buffs, so that could be kind of cool.
And then their other stratagem is if your Dark Apostle is by cultists, when he does a prayer, you get an extra +1.
Okay.
Pretty much guarantee it gets off.
Yeah. So that's pretty
wait,
cool.
do the prayers not fail on the one, or is it just...
I think
I think ones are always fail.
I'm not sure. I know for shooting and hitting and stuff.
I honestly don't know. I'd have to check.
Yeah, I'm gonna run off the assumption that ones would still fail.
Should.
Yeah.
But if Games Workshop forgot to word that right, it might make them auto-pass.
Yeah, I don't know. I could see it being more for if you don't have any disciples near your Dark
Why
Apostle.
wouldn't you?
If you want to save points, I don't know. You just take
Endpoints.
the Apostle and then you put him near Cultist and he still gets the +1. Because then essentially he has 30 ablative wounds instead of just 2, so...
I mean, I could see a niche case if someone had snipers and specifically targeted the 2 dudes out, but
Yeah.
Yeah. And there is actually a specialist detachment that's for
That's for who?
corn demons.
Oh, yeah, right. This one. I actually like this one a lot.
This one's not bad. Your trait is your warlord gets +1 attack. If there's enemy characters 6 inches, he gets another +1 attack. So put it on a demon prince, or can bloodthirsters be warlords in this game?
Yeah.
There you go. Put it on that, and he gets, the relic is roll a d6 at the end of the fight phase. If any enemies were slain by the bearer, adding 2 to the result. If any slain models was a character, on a 4-up, the bearer regains d3 lost wounds.
Mm-hmm.
It's not bad. Stratagem. You have a comment on that one?
nah, I was just like, it's fine.
The thing I like the most about it is I think, what is it, the warlord trait that lets if a bloodletter makes a charge, everybody else gets +2. Did we get to that yet?
Awesome.
That's a stratagem.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So the first one is, in your shooting phase, you pick a model from your army. Basically, they throw a skull, and they get an attack. Within
Yeah.
8 inches. If it exceeds its ballistic skill, the enemy unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. So they throw an exploding skull.
Yeah.
So basically, they get demon shells.
Yes. And then the one that you had mentioned is Red Tide. Use the stratagem charge phase. Pick an enemy unit that was charged by a Legion of Skulls unit from the army this phase. You can add 2 to charge rolls for other Legions of Skulls units from your army that declare a charge against the same enemy unit.
Yeah, I love that one.
But it specifically says, and do not declare charges against any other enemy unit, so you can only charge that unit.
Yeah. Now, bloodletters... Are bloodletters the only ones that can be taken in that specialist attachment?
Yes, they're the only ones that get the keyword.
Yeah, so you're looking at bloodletters, blood masters, and skull taker. So even still great. I mean, you could take you could take a battalion of skull taker, a blood master, and 3 blobs of bloodletters, and all of them are getting 7-inch charges. All you have to do is give 1 unit of bloodletters the banner of blood, so they charge on a 3d6. They're definitely going to make it. So then everybody else will definitely make it. That's really good. I could definitely see some shenanigans going on with that. That's why I'm including Khorne Demons in my list. I can't wait
Not
to play
for
it.
the Chiton?
Oh, for the Khitan too. I mean, well, the Khitan gets all his stuff from the Chaos Space Marine side, but I also wanted some Khorne Demons in there just because I wanted a very Khorne themed list. So it should be pretty fun. I can't wait to really get that going and get a few games in.
That demon shell was a stratagem, right?
Yeah.
That was a single model, right?
Yeah.
Damn it.
I believe so. So it would, yeah, it's just 3 mortal wounds. It's essentially, yeah, it's demon shell essentially with 8-inch range. But yeah,
well,
that should be everything in Vigilus, right?
Yeah, that's all the specialist detachments. That's
Yeah.
basically it.
Yeah, that's basically all the changes to Chaos. This has been one of our longer episodes because there was a lot to cover. Chaos got a whole lot of stuff, so I highly recommend any of you out there interested in starting a Chaos army. Now's the time to do it. Definitely pick up both books. Make sure you get both books. If you don't already own the old Chaos Codex, get both books. I still think you should get both regardless, just because all of the facts and the chapter approved and all that is compiled into the new 2.0 Codex, and then you need the extra stuff that's in Vigilus. So just do yourself the favor, buy both books, and start your Chaos army, because that was a really good time to be a Chaos player, because our line got revamped. There's only a couple models now that still need a little bit of love, and I'm sure they'll be handled soon enough, as soon as World Eaters and Emperor's Children kind of get their releases going, much like Thousand Sons and Death Guard. So once you got those, I mean, Chaos is in a fantastic place. Wayne, I know you've been in the game longer than I have. I mean, this is probably the best Chaos has had it in a while as far as models go.
As far as models go, definitely. This is reminiscent of the original revamp years ago, although the way better.
Yeah, everything's just a way better quality now. The rules, some of the rules are really, really cool. I would like to see a few more change. I'd like to see Warp Talons get a buff. I'd like to see a few odds and ends kind of get a little better. I would like to see Chaos Space Marines improved a little more in some way. Like, there's more reason to take them, but they're still not that great. So it doesn't really fix their issue, especially when you got Chosen and Havoc sitting at 14 points a model. It's kind of hard to justify buying a Chaos Space Marine for 13 points. Pay 1 extra point, you get a much better unit. So it'll be something interesting to see what they change in the future. Besides that, yeah, new Slaanesh was revealed at Adepticon, so be sure to check that out. Other than that, this has been everything for Chaos this week, and hopefully we get to talk about a little more next week after I get some games in. I want to thank everybody for coming on the show. Thank you, Wayne, for having an up-to-date book since mine hasn't updated yet. That's been pretty good. And Draco, thank you for liking the Lord Discordant so much, so that way you can talk them up. And Dennis, thank you for playing Skaven, because you know what? Don't let the world keep you down, because rats need love too, man. So thank you for being that Skaven and Necron player that you are.
Maybe in 10 years we can talk about the Skaven revamp.
Hey, you know, rock those metal models with pride, man. You'll, I mean, I'm sure it's only a matter of time, right?
Oh, surely.
A long time.
If I ran Scryer, my collection just might be heavier than I am.
Skaven will get an update when Necrons are good.
Okay. So I'll see you back in time then.
All right, everybody. Well, this has been another week of Cast the Dice, a Warhammer podcast. I'd like to thank you all for tuning in. I hope you come again next week. Peace and have a good one, fellas.
Death to the false emperor.